Hi, welcome back for Chapter 5 of True Colors, where love extends beyond the boundaries of simple romance. In the last episode, we saw Cassie at her friend's home. The Bormans and her friend Jeanette sneakily set her up with an officer who invited her, and she accepted his invitation to the military ball. This episode is a short one. Cassie received some long-awaited correspondence from some relatives, and has another letter that came that she puts off until after work, until she's ready for bed. Let's see what news she hears.
True Colors, Chapter 5. A couple of times a week, I stopped by the post office before work to check for mail. On this day, I was not disappointed. The postmaster handed me 3 letters. I could not determine the source of one, but immediately recognized the handwriting on the other envelopes. One was from my cousin Mandy with news of their settling in their new home. Her father, my Uncle James, was an older brother of my mother and Aunt Clarissa. He had had a law practice in Pittsburgh with 2 of his brothers, but recently moved his family to Colorado Territory. I was to have gone with them, for I had an adventurous spirit and was drawn to the reported openness of the West. But when war broke out, that same spirit kept me here in the East with the resolve to do all I could for the Union cause. It wasn't until after Eric was killed that I leased out our farms and moved to Washington in hopes of becoming a nurse, no longer content with fundraising and sewing uniforms and packing boxes to be sent to the front. I remained determined to one day join my relatives out west, though. After all, this war couldn't last much longer. The other letter I was thankful to receive was from Mandy's brother, Greg, a signalman in the Army who had also foregone the move west in order to accomplish his part in sustaining the Union. He and Eric had enlisted together but were assigned to different units. Greg had been in training in nearby Georgetown when Eric was killed at Bull Run. We grew closer than ever after that, and I was deeply concerned about his welfare. Now my heart was light as I read and reread the much-welcomed pieces of correspondence. The other letter remained unopened throughout my working day, essentially forgotten in the excitement of hearing from my cousins. When I arrived home that night, I readied myself for retiring before opening the letter with the unfamiliar handwriting and local postmark. Leaning against the headboard, I held the letter toward the lamp on my night table and began to read. Dear Miss Golden, if you recall our conversation of last week, as I oftentimes have, you will remember the sonnet that reminded me of your spoken sentiments that night. It is my judgment, Miss Golden, that although your patients have families or lovers at home, you truly are the focus of their affection. I saw in their eyes and heard in their voices a regard for you that you earned, not one bestowed upon you simply because of your presence. Nonetheless, I have copied the poem and am enclosing it. I consider it one of the most enchanting love sonnets ever written. Yours truly, M. Byron. I sat in perfect stillness. Major Byron had oftentimes thought of me, as often as I had thought of him. He had taken the time to look up the poem, write it down, and send it to me in the post. Perhaps that wife and those 8 children didn't exist after all. But he had made no effort to see me again, and wrote nothing now to the effect that he ever wanted to. This was simply a note he sent to follow up on a cordial conversation. It was a lovely gesture meant to hearten me, and it succeeded. Setting the first page on the bed beside me, I read the remainder of what Major Byron sent. From Sonnets from the Portuguese, number 14, by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. If thou must love me, let it be for naught except for love's sake only. Do not say, I love her for her smile, her look, her way of speaking gently, for a trick of thought that falls in well with mine, and certes brought a sense of pleasant ease on such a day. For these things in themselves, beloved, may be changed, or changed for thee, and love so wrought may be unwrought so. Neither love me for thine own dear pity's wiping my cheeks dry. A creature might forget to weep who bore thy comfort long, and lose thy love thereby. But love me for love's sake, that evermore thou mayest love on through love's eternity.
So she's thrilled that she has received some correspondence from her relatives. Happy to hear that her cousin Greg is alive and well in the Army, and that her cousin Mandy is settling in Colorado, and this is actually her cousin Mandy, who is the hero of the next story that I'll be reading when True Colors is finished, The Arrow That Flieth by Day. They're first cousins and very close. And so in the next episode is the big gala event, the military ball. It's got some exciting things happening, so come back and find out how that goes. Thanks. And be sure to like and subscribe if you would, please. See you next time.